There's when I came into the industry first way back, so far ago, so long ago, it's just embarrassing actually. I used to make the joke and say, I got into the advertising around about the time that Gutenberg invented movable type. And this was a kind of little bit of a joke that kind of worked. And I realised when we went through the millennium, and I made that joke, and made it to a group of students, and I realised suddenly we'd crossed a kind of moment, and they were all looking at me going, well, who the bloody hell's Gutenberg and what's movable type? So I had to kind of think of a new joke. But I came into the industry a very, very long time ago. And when I first got into advertising, I was that classic kind of creative person who, you know, if a piece of work wasn't sold, I'd go berserk, you know, I'd shout and scream with the account man and throw him out of the office or whoever it was and just say they were complete idiots and they couldn't sell kind of, you know, they couldn't sell water to a you know, a parched man in the desert. And I actually never really liked myself being like that. I just didn't think it was quite me, but I was very upset. I used to get very upset. And at the time I was being taught how to play tennis. And I was being taught by a wonderful man who, believe it or not, got to the finals at Wimbledon a long, long time ago in the doubles. Never made it to the actual final, but he got to the finals and he lost. And he was a wonderful man, and he was teaching me how to play the backhand. I had real problems with the backhand. And we were practicing and practicing, and eventually I hit the most beautiful backhand. Absolutely fantastic. Down the line, it was perfect, absolutely perfect. And he was a wonderful man. He was from another generation. He only referred to you with your surname, and you referred to him with his surname. And he came up to the net and he said, "Mr. Hegarthy, that was really very, very good. We'll now move on to the overhead smash." At which point he sort of turned and walked away. I thought, this is mad. I've only hit one. I mean, and I said to him, "Mr. Watt, I've only hit one." What? And he stopped, and I always remember this. And he turned around and he walked back to the net. He was sort of slightly aged. And he leaned over the net and he said to me, "Mr. Hegarthy, if you can hit one, you can hit 1,001. We'll now move on to the overhead smash." And at that moment I realised why I was getting mad with account people and not selling my ads. I kind of sort of thought I had maybe 500 great ideas in me. You know, one hadn't been sold, so that was now down to 499, and you know, another one hadn't been sold, that was 498. And almost I could sort of chart the moment I'd be out of ideas and be out of the business. And of course, what Mr. Wilde, that wonderful tennis player, reminded me is, if you can have one idea, you can have 1,001 ideas. Let's move on to the overhead smash. So instead of losing, you know, your temper, and which is a very negative thing, it doesn't get you anywhere, just move on, have another idea, because if you can have one great one, you can have another one. And you know something, what's great about them is the more you have them, the better you get at them. So keep going.